Hello. At the eclipse, what happens is that the moon is situated between the sun and the earth and it covers the sun. In some places, it's a cover of totality, which means the total sun is covered. It's situated exactly in between, and therefore it covers it completely. Some places, it's a little bit less than that. For instance, in New York City, is expected to be covered at about 80%. And therefore, many people want to experience looking at it. Of course, you have to use special glasses for that, not the regular sunglasses. Otherwise, it's very dangerous for the eyes. But looking at it, you're looking at the moon. Is it permitted to look at the moon altogether? Or whether you're not allowed, maybe you're not allowed to look at the moon. The Magen Avraham brings down in Ilchot Kiddush Levana that one is not allowed to look at the moon. He brings this from the Shla. And therefore, when you make Kiddush Levana, all you are allowed to do is look at it for a moment and then say the bracha, but not stare at it. That's how the Mefarshim explain look of the Shla. For instance, the Zera Emet explains that the Isur is to stare at something and not just to randomly look. There's a lot of things that one is not allowed to look at, which means to stare at it. For instance, a person is not allowed to look at a wicked person, at a rasha. It doesn't mean that if a person comes across you, you can't look at him. You have to see who's coming across. You just look at him, but you don't stare. Same thing when a person sees a rainbow. It says that rainbow should not be stared at, not to be mistakel. This chiluk is found at many places, many other places. For instance, it says that a person should look at a woman before he marries her. So again, the Rosh explained, the Mefarshim explained, it means that a person should look, but not stare, not look for too long. That's what it is. So over here also, at the Levana, at the moon, a person is allowed to look, but not to stare. So one needs to keep that in mind. If a person wants to take a look at the moon, maybe that would not be appropriate. But on the other hand, we do find a pasuk that says in Tehillim, Ki yireh shamecha ma'aseh etzbeotecha yareach v'chochavim asher konanta, which means a person looks at the wonders of Hashem, His creations. He looks at the moon, at the stars that Hashem created. So we see that maybe it's permitted to look if your purpose of looking is to experience Hashem creation, to see His beautiful work. Also, the pasuk says, and we can learn from that as well. It's pasuk in Dvarim. It says, "Ped tisai necha shamayma, v'ra'ita et hashemesh ve'et hayarech ve'et hakochavim." One might look at the sky and take a look at the sun, at the stars, and at the moon. Now, what does it mean, pen? You're not allowed to look? The Mizrahi says over there, פן תישא עיניך, להסתכל בדבר ולתת לב לטעות אחריהם, ולא שאסור להביט בהם. Not that it's not permitted to look at them, but rather you're not allowed to be mistaken after them, to think that one may worship them. That is the prohibition over here. To look at them in a way that you might fall and think that one can worship them. But to look at them, you're allowed, says the Mizrahi, כי כתוב, כי ירא שמך מעשה אצבעותיך, ירח וכוכבים אשר כוננת, which means, he explained, שבהבטתה משתומם ויביא לעצמו לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא בורא שמיים ונותיהם, which means if a person looks at Hashem creation in order to be excited by it, that will be permitted. So over here, that will be a leniency different than when you say Birkat HaLevana. When you say Kiddush Levana, Birkat HaLevana, the Shla says, and again Avraham brings this down, and many poskim posek like this. Shla, the Charedim, also brings the idea of not looking at the moon, as explained before. It means staring. So you look at it for a second. That's because you want to say the bracha, not to experience the wonders of Hashem. But when we're dealing with looking at an eclipse, that you're actually looking at the moon that covers the sun, although all you're seeing is something just black on the sky, but this is the moon. What you're experiencing when you're seeing is the moon itself. One is not allowed to stare at it unless his purpose is to praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to see the wonders of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that should be what we should do at the time of the eclipse. Those that want to take a look at it with the correct glasses should have the right mindset to do so. Otherwise, they can't stare at it more than a second.